Today we're down in Chatham. We're at Fort Horsted for an exclusive tour around the fort, which is currently used by private businesses. So we're in for a special treat. Let's go and take a look.
Fort Horsted in the Horsted Valley region is said to take its name from the legendary Saxon leader Horsa, who is claimed.
Our tour of Fort Horsted started with a short presentation on the history of the fort, before we were guided outside and taken to the entrance to the magazines. In 1860, a report recommended that more defences should be built in and around Chatham to protect both the dockyard and also London.
We've just been given the introduction to Fort Horsted, and now we've been let loose to look around it ourselves. So let's go and have a look.
Construction of the fort started in 1880, and it was being built by prisoners from the local borstal, who were supervised by the Royal Engineers. 9 years later, and the defence opened, around the same time as 5 other local forts. Some of the most impressive bits of history to survive are down and then up these steps in the casemates, where detailed graffiti can be seen on the walls. From drawings of soldiers and boxers to religious messages, and even an intimate encounter with a prostitute. You have to admire some of the creativity of the servicemen. The last part of the fort to be built was the dry moat, which in some areas is around 30 foot deep. Should any enemies make it into the moat, firing positions were built into it, making the fort even more secure. This area is known as the counterscarp galleries. One clever part of the design gave even more protection to the soldiers.
So we've got this recess here. So remember the era we're talking about. Back then everybody was right-handed, because once upon a time if you were left-handed, of course you would have been regarded as a devil worshipper. So everybody is right-handed. So to get the angle to fire through here, you would need this recess so that you can effectively get in here and fire down this angle here. You don't need it over there because of course you'll be standing in the edge there, and if you're firing from that side again, you've got your rifle over here. Of course you're fine because it's here. So you just need them on the left hand edges because you've always got your rifle that side.
Up to 400 men and women would have been stationed at Fort Horsted, and although it was never permanently armed, a fort of this size would normally have around 50 guns. Ammunition would have been stored in the magazines below and sent up to the serving rooms via the hoists. Horsted played an important role in the 20th century, making and storing ammunition in the First World War and continuing to defend London in World War II, where it's documented that in September 1940, 6 enemy aircraft were shot down within just 20 minutes. After the war, the fort saw little use and was eventually sold by the military in 1963. Plans were submitted to demolish the fort in 1972, however the government rejected the plans, saying that Fort Horsted was of great local interest. In 1976, a German tyre company owned the fort and used it to store an estimated 100,000 tyres, filling up the tunnels and the moat. On July the 7th, a huge blaze broke out and burned for weeks, fortunately not destroying the site. The fort was bought by its current owners in the early 90s, who converted it into a business park by clearing out the remaining tyres and refurbishing it into new business units. Fortunately, they kept many of the original features, such as these toilets. As for the future of Fort Horsted, the owners told us they aim to add more business units to the site and replace the bridge at the entrance to ensure that the fort is looked after for years to come.
So we've just finished our look around Fort Horsted and it's been a great morning. We've seen some really interesting things from a fort that is normally off limits to the public. So a big thanks to Dave for inviting us along today. Now if you have enjoyed this video and you want to see similar ones, click on that subscribe button and don't forget to visit our website at beyondthepoints.co.uk.